despite repeated explanations about the Namibia Revenue Agency over its decision to destroy what it terms counterfeit goods, many still want NamRA to investigate the public's concern to ensure that there is an equal treatment on counterfeit products. The official opposition is the latest to denounce the action by NamRA and has called on the Prime Minister to engage all parties on the issue instead of resolving this in court. The SWAPO Party Youth League this week also condemned the actions and described the move as different treatment towards imported counterfeit products in Namibia. Joining us once again in the studio is Stephen Ndorokaze, the Chief Strategic Communications and Support Engagement at NamRA. Very good evening to you, Stephen, and thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, good evening, and I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. Stephen, I think the question that many people still do not have an answer to is what exactly is a counterfeit good, and why does it, and why did NamRA's actions only target certain goods, mainly those of entrepreneurs and SMEs, in the view of the public?
Okay, you're asking me two questions, so I'm going to give you two answers.
All right.
With regards to the first question, what is a counterfeit? And because of the limited time that we have, I'll give you a very brief definition to that. It would be a brand produced by somebody else without the permission or authorization of the brand right holder. So it refers to almost an exact imitation of somebody's brand. Now, this other person would have invested in this brand, probably conceptualized the brand, have it registered, invested whatever needs to be invested, marketed the brand, established, positioned the brand within a certain market, and established that brand. Now, you would just come there and then see, okay, this is what this guy's brand is, and then you start producing goods in the name of the other person's brand without the authorization of that person's, authorization. That would be counterfeit, and that is exactly what we're talking about.
Is it safe to say that a replica, can you use the word counterfeit and replica interchangeably when referring to goods?
Well, I would want to stay away from a replica because even the brand owner could also replicate what they want. So I would stay away from that and limit myself to the definition that I have just provided to you. Then the second question has an element around the unequal or indiscriminate treatment. I don't know what is the basis for that, because we are the ones that carried out the destruction on last week Tuesday. After that operation, we then issued a statement which spoke to what happened. We never referred to who the owners of these goods were, who these goods were confiscated for. We never referred to them, and more so, never in relation to their nationality. But somebody somehow found the opportunity to bring in a narrative around that the operation was against Namibians. The facts do not support that. They don't have a basis for that. What do the facts support? The facts indicate that a vast majority of those from whom these goods that were destroyed last week Tuesday were confiscated from are non-Namibians. In fact, a good number of them are of Eastern Asian origin. So, but we never wanted really to be drawn into a conversation where we talk about the nationalities of defaulters. All that we are interested in is there has been a contravention of the law. We have run a due process, and at the end of the due process, as provided for in terms of the relevant acts that guide what we do, then the destruction was done. But maybe I should speak to, so what is the basis for this destruction? Now, the Customs and Excise Act, which is one of those laws that NamRA, through its establishing act, is then entrusted with administering, provides in relevant provisions that when you, and this really would be in relation to sections, and I'll just mention all of them when you read them together. It starts from 97, 98, 100, and 123. When you, and here we're talking about prohibited or illegal goods. When they are confiscated, there's only one treatment in respect of illegal or prohibited goods, and that's their destruction. And that power is given to the commissioner to do so. But you run a due process before you even get to the destruction, because we, as NamRA or customs officials, would not necessarily know people's brands. So when you, on a suspicion, you feel that this brand would have been counterfeited, you would then confiscate, and then you would engage the brand right holders for them to confirm, and through affidavits they would then confirm that indeed it is my brand that has been counterfeited, and therefore you arrange for a process for the destruction of this good, which is what has ensued in this case, and this is what was done. I should add, the act that I refer to you now, it's an act 20 of 1998, and please underline 1998. It tells you that it's nothing new from what we're doing. In fact, the destructions of so many other illegal or prohibited goods has been carried out repeatedly under the department, the former Directorate of Customs and Excise. So this is not a new practice that we undertook last week, Tuesday.
Yes, I'm glad that you mentioned that this law is from 1998. But what effort has been made in educating people about the law? Because in some instances, people unknowingly break the law, and they see their goods being confiscated and being destroyed without understanding, well, what am I doing wrong? I'm trying to make a living here for myself, and NamRA comes in and tells you, no, look, you're not supposed to sell this because you've broken the law. But I don't have any knowledge of that law. How do we talk about that?
Let me, as a footnote to what I was saying and in relation to the destruction, indicate that the goods that we are talking about, some have been in our warehouses for as long as 7 years. The last to that edition of that consignment that was destroyed last week was last year. Nothing was carried, no operation included in the goods that were destroyed on Tuesday was carried out this year. Now, your question with regards to the possibility of ignorance, we will never rule that out. And hence you would see when we speak as NamRA, we talk about the need to enhance education amongst the taxpayers as well as traders, because we understand that these are things that we still need to inform people about so that they become aware of what the various provisions are. And therefore, one can never say there has been enough education or enough consultations on it. But while that is being the case, I think the issue is not so much around whether people knew or not. It's the narrative that found its way in this that is very unfortunate. The narrative that says this operation targeted Namibians, which is not supported by anything that we have said, which is also not supported by any facts that are available, but somebody saw the need to bring in the narrative that this operation targeted Namibians. But the facts do show you that, in fact, Namibians do not even make a third of those from whom the goods were confiscated, the ones that were destroyed.
Why were these facts not put to the fore in the beginning? I mean, I think a lot of would have been avoided by, rather than, because some people saw it as, you know, why are you not revealing the identities of the people that indeed are not Namibians and were responsible for these counterfeit goods being in the country? Why was that not revealed?
Well, you know that we are, as an institution, as an operation, we are bound by confidentiality limitations. But like I indicated earlier on, it was never a space, and it is not a space, to get into a dialogue around with the nationalities of those. If there are criminal processes to be followed, when the people are to be followed criminally, they would obviously then be appearing in courts, and those are open courts. But other than that, it's not our duty to come and disclose who is the identity and what nationalities, because what are we going to get out of that? Is it fueling some xenophobia, or what will we be doing when we now aim at disclosing and going after the nationality of people? The question, maybe in my view, that should be asked is, who brought the narrative in that the operation was targeting Namibians? Where did it come from? Who brought it in? Maybe that's the question that we should be asking ourselves, so that we determine what is the motive of bringing that in. First, saying that it's targeting Namibians. Second, saying it's targeting those that are operating in the space called Order by Me. Where did that come from? Why are we not interrogating as to who brought that in? Because whoever brought it in might be able to answer as to what was the basis for them to bring that in. So it's an unfortunate narrative that came into, that then fueled the tension. And I believe that Namibians are able to see, and they would be able to discern what is true from what is otherwise the narratives being advanced by. I don't know for what the motives would be.
Finally, Stephen, the way forward in finding a peaceful and lasting solution to this predicament that we find ourselves in.
Well, I wonder what the predicament is, because I'm failing to see what it is. If there is if there was a discussion around, here is the law that you're supposed to be implementing, but the way you have implemented it is contrary to the provisions that you're saying are guiding you. If there was a discussion around that, then we would be talking about how did we miss the law? Because as a creation of statute, we should remain within what the law provides for. There are no such allegations being made against the Namibia Revenue Agency that you have missed the law. So I'm not seeing what else needs to be done, unless there is a suggestion to say Namibia as a nation would no longer want to follow the laws that it has set itself. And I've deliberately limited myself to the provisions of our domestic law. But it is obviously supported by international instruments and the like, because we're not an island unto ourselves. But this is a domestic law that provides this way. Now, if the insinuation is to say, let's disregard our law, and I don't think anybody can really make that, given the fact that we are a constitutional state, anchored around the rule of law. So we have applied the law as it's provided for, and the only indication that I can make is that's the position that NamRA maintains. And going forward, obviously, you're going to see a lot of taxpayer and trader education going on. You're going to see a lot of operations being carried out. You're going to see a lot of enforcement being carried out as provided for within the letter and spirit of the law that is guiding us.
Right. Stephen, thank you so much for your time, and we'll definitely be keeping a close eye on the latest developments and the way forward. Thank you so much.
Maybe as a final word, it's just the caution that we have been, if you would have had regard to our statement that we've been giving, is to say we discourage Namibians to be party to transactions in counterfeit goods, in any illegal goods as it is. It's just that now we're discussing counterfeit goods, but illegal or prohibited goods could be anything, could be drugs, could be anything else that would have been produced. All of those are harmful to our country in many respects. One, because of the route that they are produced in, they are prejudicial to the brand right holders. Because they would be channeled through not the rightful systems, they would also not be subjected to the right taxes, to the right levies that would then enhance the well-being of this nation. And because ordinarily they would not be subjected to the standards that goods are subjected to, they could also in their very nature be harmful to the Namibian society, therefore discouraging them to stay away from transaction in any counterfeit goods.
All right, Stephen, thank you once again.
Much appreciated.
All right.